I'm a bulldog.
All right, guys, this is Wednesday night. You folks know what you're watching. This is Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. And let me answer the obvious question right out of the gate, right out of the West End Zone tunnel. What in the Blue Blazes is Jeff doing wearing a shirt like he's on Brandon's favorite Caribbean island? Well, I'm going to tell you, this is a tradition going back to my early days, going all the way back to Birmingham, I believe, when I started this as a Cub reporter, as a young reporter. I would treat the first day of football season, and tonight, Corky Kell gets going in the state of Georgia, the first day of football season, as kind of like my vacation paradise. And that doesn't mean my job is a vacation, but that means I'm somewhere where I want to be. And for me, that is the start of the high school football season. Tonight on the Corky Kell airwaves with our DawgNation partner, Peachtree TV, you will be able to see Georgia flip target Chase Linton. You will also be able to see Georgia recent commitment Jontae Gilbert. And for me, that's kind of like an awesome first day of high school football coverage for me along those lines. But you're not here to listen to me talk about shirts or fashion. You were here to listen to me talk about Georgia football recruiting, and we've got another loaded show this evening for you guys. I think the kicker of the show is we're going to explain why Georgia's latest commitment, Jontae Gilbert, flipped off Georgia Tech with his announcement on Saturday. We're going to have the second part, probably my favorite part of the two segments, with Justus Terry. That's the five-star major Georgia target. We're going to hear from Chase Linton himself about where things are with him as potentially a guy that's got an updated and expedited decision timeline. I'm going to show you guys video of a 6'9" high school sophomore offensive tackle. That's Joshua Sam-Epelle at Douglas County High School. Already giving me some Amarius Mims vibes, if I'm being honest. But before all that, let's start with what I like to call the appetizers on each and every Before the Hedges program. The first of these is the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the Flats, definitely stepping up with their football program. I want you to take a look at this tweet by Pete Nekos out of On3. And these are some whispers. These are like some Varys, Master of Whispers, Game of Thrones type stuff here. Five-star offensive lineman Josh Petty has agreed to terms of a 3-year roster value deal with an annual payment of at least $800K with Georgia Tech. Again, that's Pete Nekos of On3 Sports reporting there. Folks, that is a substantial number. I mean, if you see that number for Josh Petty, in my mind, a guy that is probably a heavy projection there for the five-star status. I know Georgia Tech trumpeted up. You saw a lot of the headlines as that was their first five-star prospect of the modern era. But this, to me, is significant for a lot of reasons. Number one, I would say if the price for Josh Petty, Class 1A, now listen, he's very talented. Don't take this the wrong way. But he is a projectable offensive tackle. I think I saw in that tweet there where it said it's a 3-year annual. I think Josh is probably going to be in college for 4 years. I think he's probably going to need one acclimation redshirt period. But it says a lot of things. Number one, it says Tech is stepping up. It says maybe that's how a program like Georgia Tech brings in a five-star equipped, skilled offensive tackle. It definitely shows renewed vigor and energy there for Georgia Tech on that front. And I think it also says something potentially about recent Georgia decommitment Christian Garrett, because if they find that type of money for Joshua Petty, I think they could find that type of money for a lot of guys in the class, including their potential class, including a guy like Christian Garrett, who just decommitted from Georgia. My information on that is Garrett decommitted because a better opportunity than one he had at Athens arose. And you see numbers like that flying around, guys. I'm just going to be honest. That means to me that a five-star tackle that I think could plug and play right away anywhere in college football, at least maybe getting the two deep his freshman year. I'm talking about David Sanders Jr., who commits this weekend. I think the number for David Sanders would be substantially a lot more than that. Tennessee, Ohio State, Nebraska, and then Georgia kind of round out the finalists there right there. So That is significant, folks, not because it's the Georgia versus Georgia Tech and clean old-fashioned hate, because we're going to get into that in a little bit. But for me, that is just a substantial number that shows Georgia Tech is going to try to at least pay with the big boys, if not yet play with the big boys right there. So that's an early entree. The second thing I want to hit you with a little bit quicker than that is Georgia. Some of their commitments have received the benefits of some updated rankings. 24/7 Sports updating its rankings, Rivals.com updating their rankings, and because of that, the aggregates, the composites, they get a little bit more tricky with the math. Here's one to start with. Formerly 4-star edge Isaiah Gibson is now a 5-star on the 24/7 Sports composite. He's now the highest rated part of Georgia's class. Another notable guy to me in that discussion of who kind of got the rankings bump, it is another bump here for Georgia quarterback commitment, Ryan Montgomery. Ryan, who just about a week or two ago was 107 after a previous summer bump from what he did at the Elite 11 finals out in California. Well, Ryan got another bump this week from 24/7 Sports. I think he got a bump from a lot of the couple services that make up the composite. But now he's all the way up to the number 9 quarterback. That's just one spot there for quarterbacks. But he's now the number 77 overall prospect in the country for the 24/7 Sports composite. That makes Ryan one of the 5 highest rated commitments in Georgia's class. I think it is very well deserved. And that, my friends, here on Before the Hedges, is your kind of early appetizers before the main event, which is our kind of our big segments of our show here on DawgNation's Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Now, we're going to start tonight with something I just kind of teed up a little bit ago, and this is an early kind of incarnation of clean, old-fashioned hate. Georgia got a commitment on Saturday. I was there. DawgNation was there from 4-star cornerback Jontae Gilbert. Now, I want you to see the video. We're going to roll it in a second, but beforehand, I'm going to give you kind of a teaser here. The teaser here is I want you to look for, because we got the commitment moment video inside of there. But one of the things Jontae Gilbert did, first of all, this was a new thing for you. It was for me. It seems like this 2025 class has both guns blazing when it comes to creativity. What this event had was 5 spinning balloon towers, and the last one spinning, they gradually stopped spinning during the ceremony, was going to be his choice. And it's kind of funny, kind of ironic. There are a lot of Georgia fans at Douglas County High School in Douglasville where Gilbert plays, but the bookkeeper is also a balloon specialist, I'm told. And what she did is she created 2 towers with the Georgia football red and black colors. So that was kind of interesting, ironic that she did that. But one of the things with that being said, when that moment happened for Gilbert, is he reaches for a Georgia Tech hat. And when he does, he doesn't even put it on his head. Maybe he didn't want to even desanctify his hair and his hairline with the Georgia Tech navy blue and gold, but he flipped it off into the crowd. Well, the inside story, the intel on that is he actually flipped it in the direction of his teammate, Xavier Canales, who is a 3-star offensive line commitment in Georgia Tech's 2025 class. They're teammates, but you see a little salty there. You see a little early start there on clean, old-fashioned hate. What was Jontae's ceremony like? What did those balloon towers look like? I want to show you right now on our DawgNation conversation with Jontae Gilbert from his commitment day in Douglasville. Jontae, I guess you were sitting up there all by yourself, man. It looked like you were waiting on some folks. Is that a fair way to say that? Yeah, that intermission. You were the most chill person up there waiting for your family and crew to get there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, grandmas matter, aunties matter. You had to get them here, right?
Yeah.
How will you remember your commitment day today?
Very memorable moment, one of my favorite moments in my life. Everybody came out to support. So, that was good.
When did you know? When did you know it was Georgia? I feel like this has been in your mind for a little bit. Like, when did lightning bolt hit you and say, Georgia wants me, that's where I need to be? When did that come to you?
That July 28th cookout, had a great workout. Got to talk to some of the recruits, Coach Dan, I had a great talk with Coach Jontae and Coach Smart, that talk really opened my eyes about Georgia, I feel like I can go there and play early, really compete, which I really like. And compete every day against each other, so that was all I like.
Was it always a question of you had to figure out how much Georgia wanted you and wanted you to play corner? It seemed like those were the answers you needed to solve to kind of figure out your recruiting.
Yes, because at first they was recruiting as safety, I played safety a little bit, played corner and nickel as well, but, after this past offseason, I feel like I played corner, see myself as a big corner, so that's good.
You told me Kirby broke it down to you and said you had length, you were versatile, but he said your game reminded him of J.C. Horn. Was that the moment when you're like, heck, J.C. Horn was a first rounder out of the Atlanta area? Mm-hmm. If they think I can be that, that's probably where I need to be. Is that what cinched it for you?
Really, yes. Because Coach T. Rob, he coached him at Sacramento, so it was good to hear that from him.
Can you put into words how much Coach Dante wanted you?
He wanted me a lot. He been recruiting me ever since he at SC. Me and D1 Lee. He committed to Alabama, but he got one of the recruits he wanted, which was me. So that's good.
Your coaches told me you're a football nerd. They told me you're the ambassador for the program. They told me about your college credits. You're going in. I don't know many commitments or Georgia signees that go in with a dual enrollment credit. So that kind of feels like football nerd. Mm-hmm. And then your head coach said, he's the type of kid I would want to marry my daughter one day. Man, where does that come from? Are you like, man, I didn't know I was that good a kid? I mean, like, where does that come from?
Just really raised well. My mom raised me right, really. That's all it came to it.
You're a Bulldog now, man. What's that feeling like? Is it what you imagined it would be?
Yes, I'm happy right now, so it's good, excited. It's good. Got a game next week. We're just trying to focus on that.
Georgia folks are going to get interested in you. They're going to watch you. They're going to watch your clips. They're going to watch your tape. What do you want them to know about the way you play this great game?
I'm a smart player, very versatile. I'm a physical player. I can cover, players man, all that. I can tackle too as well.
Did your folks know, or did you surprise them today?
It's kind of surprised them today.
What did mom and dad, what everybody say?
They was really shocked, because it was between NC State, NC State and Georgia, but they thought it was going to be NC State. So, confusing that trip today.
Did you know the school bookkeeper did those balloon things?
Yeah, I know they gave it away a little bit.
And you know what she did, though, is, I don't know if you noticed this or you've been part of it, but they were going to stop spinning, mm-hmm. and the one that stopped spinning last was your choice. Yeah. And I think they did it right before, you had to pay like really close attention. Like you watch a movie and you got to look for like those little clues or whatever. Yeah. I think the Georgia one stopped spinning last. And that was the only one still spinning. And you hadn't made your move yet. Did you know that? Are you aware of any of that happening? And she did too. And she's like, well, she was a Georgia fan, so she wanted to do too. You got a lot of Dog fans in your family. You think you made the school, your staff happy?
Yes, in the school building, Ms. Lloyd, Coach Allen, our athletic director, she's a big Dog fan, so that was good.
Who hosted you on your official?
Julian Humphrey.
How much did Julian help in terms of telling you the real about Georgia?
He helped me a lot, really all the players, Dylan Everett, all of them, DeMello, KJ, getting to talk with them, got the feel for it, they kept it real with me, and like the coaches kept it real with me. They treat everybody the same. That was good.
Is that what KJ and DeMello and all those guys told you?
Yes.
What do you want to study in school?
Psychology.
Psychology?
Yeah.
And you will enter Georgia with what kind of GPA? Like what kind of GPA you rocking?
3.4.
3.4? Awesome. Hey, Jontae Gilbert, I know the easy thing to do is the classic line, but a lot of Dog people are going to watch this. I'm going to shoot it out on social media. What do you want to tell everybody today on your big celebration day?
You've been a great player. Go Dogs.
Awesome. Thanks, Jontae. Appreciate you, man. Interesting there. Two couple things I want to just kind of identify there out of that segment. Number one, this is also, we mentioned earlier creative commitments. Love it. I was stunned when I was like, man, this 2025 class has got some game in terms of putting together a nice ceremony. But also, this is the year, I think, where you see the alternative logos. If you saw last year the old school G, or maybe at the spring game you saw the old school G that used to be on the letter jackets was showing up on the visitor credentials or the game visitor player, student athlete credentials. inside Sanford Stadium that they had to wear. And now you saw Jontae Gilbert's hat right there. That is an older school G. That is a newer G. So all those folks out there in DawgNation that don't have one like that, obviously that's going to be an impulse purchase. The second thing I thought was really cool about Jontae Gilbert's story, and you saw that video there. I mean, let's play the DawgNation before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Home game with your little flip. It almost feels like a Tommy Frazier or Jamel Holloway, old school Oklahoma, Nebraska option flip right there. I think Jontae had it down right there as well. You saw there was some verification of some things. It was Georgia, NC State. Georgia just needed to make sure he could run, and they had to tell him that we see you as a corner. I'm going to tell you some of the insider stuff. Georgia was really hopeful. The Georgia staff was reaching out, trying to make sure that everything was great on the days leading up to Jontae Gilbert's decision. But really, he verified in that piece that he really made his decision when he spoke to Kirby Smart, and Kirby Smart gave him a heads up, gave him a great player parallel there in terms of he reminded him of J.C. Horn. Of course, J.C. Horn was coached by Tavares Robinson at South Carolina. So that was kind of music to Jontae Gilbert's ears. And when he heard that, that's when he decided he had to be a dog. Guys, that was the last word. That was the good word, I guess, right there on Jontae Gilbert's commitment. Speaking of a good word, let's listen in. Let's talk a little bit about Kroger and its back-to-school opportunity here. I mean, I think you see the billboards just like I do when they trumpet $600 plus in digital coupons each and every week. And, this week that's going to come right in handy because back to school is still a big thing. I think everybody in the metro Atlanta area and the Southeast is now starting back. You can build the best back-to-school lunches with your kids' faves thanks to Kroger. From sandwich fillers to fruits and veggies and all those sought-after snacks, Kroger has it all. I want you to visit your local Kroger or go to Kroger.com today to start saving, or as in my house we call it, to start Krogering. Always thankful for the partnership we have there with Kroger here on DawgNation and DawgNation's Before the Hedges. Now, guys, second up, and everybody's kind of got flips on their mind. This is the time of year, and Chase Linton looks to be like the prime flip candidate right now. I had a chance to catch up with him over the weekend and kind of get a good feel about where things are at, how Georgia's offer, and then the resulting kind of bump and other schools kind of jumping in for Chase Linton a little bit, how that kind of really has muddied up his water and made his decision a lot more complicated. Let's do this. Chase Linton, currently of Rutgers commitment. How's he feeling right now? What's the latest with Chase? Again, Chase's season starts tonight at North Atlanta High School in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. What's on Chase's mind? Well, that's what you come to Before the Hedges for. Let's listen in right now. Chase, let's jump into a few questions. I don't know if people have told you this or not. Are you the first player from North Atlanta to ever have an offer from Georgia?
I wouldn't not believe that. I don't know for sure, but I think so. I think I am the first. Won't be the last, though.
I love the way you characterized it when you said, I was good, I was done. And all of a sudden, boom, here comes the Georgia offer. Did it really was it cool, but also, oh gosh, now I got to go through all this stuff again?
It was really exciting for a time, and then after 5 days had passed, and I started getting hit up by other schools. And I was like, God, I'm right back into it.
Which schools are hitting you up now besides Georgia?
That's confidential.
Oh.
I was told to keep that confidential for now.
But there are multiple schools?
Yes, there are multiple schools.
Big schools. Can we call them SEC schools? Can we call them ACC schools?
We could call them Big Ten, ACC, a couple SECs.
What stands out to you about Georgia?
Distance from home. That's one of the main things. Obviously, their program, back-to-back natties, that stands out. And the way their coaches are and hold themselves and present themselves really stood out.
Chase, I think you're doing this very mature, not too soon, not too fast. I think you've got this good break here where you've got a little bit of time where you can't go anywhere. Are you going to take a kind of a logical flow with this and maybe go check out Georgia, go check out Rutgers again? Like what feels like the plan that's forming here that makes sense to you?
The plan, yes, the plan would be to go check out Georgia, so I can stop thinking so much and so I know what I want to do. Because right now I'm kind of lost. So I'm talking with my family, getting to know it all. Hopefully I'll make a decision soon.
Soon?
Eventually.
Eventually?
Yeah.
Would you like to have it done in 2 months? Is that soon?
Yeah, within 1 month, I'll say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For you, now I think I remember you worked out for Georgia and you ran, but then that was when the weekend you were going to your official to Rutgers, right?
Right.
So you couldn't really have a big conversation and really have the lowdown, right?
Right.
But they didn't offer you then. They waited till you came back and you worked out again in late July?
Yep, that's correct.
And then Duribe dropped the offer on you, right?
Yep. So
they needed to see you again and make sure you could do the same things or whatever. Did they need to see it twice, or would they have offered you that first day if they would have had time?
I'd like to believe that they would have offered me the first day if I had stayed. But, I can't say for sure. Maybe they needed to just confirm some things. 'Cause I did a couple different workouts when I went back. And I worked with their guys. So maybe they wanted to see how I worked with the guys, how I fit in their program before they offered me.
What'd you have to do? Like linebacker drills? Did you have to run again, or was the only time you had to run on the laser was that in May?
Yeah, it was only in May where I ran, but it was linebacker drills. Yeah, a couple shuttle drills and stuff.
Why does Coach Duribe want you? Why did he tell you Georgia now is pursuing you the way you pursue quarterbacks?
They like my speed. They like that I could be a third down guy, get after the quarterback or cover if I need to. Like the diversity of it all.
Where are your sights set for your senior year?
Sights set. We want to be the region champs this year. So I'm trying to push that onto my teammates, some of the people who are doubting us. I want to get that doubt out of their heads. Give them a reason to play, because that's what we all need. So region champs. That's the goal.
Any personal goals? What did you have sack-wise last year? Did you have 8 sacks? Do you want to have 12 this year? Do you remember?
I do not remember. I do not remember. I have to go back and look. But this year, I'm not going to say I'm looking for a certain number. I just want to be impactful in every game I play. That's the main thing.
When people flip on your film, film is your DNA as a player. What do you want people to see? What's your football identity that you hope people pick up when you watch you play?
Relentless. Do first and fourth down. I'm not going to stop until I win. Relentless.
How has Rutgers handled this Georgia offer? Have they tried to reach out? Your fellow commits in the class trying to reach out? Like, how have they approached it?
They reached out. They reminded me why I committed, of course. No, I'm not really, I haven't talked to the other commits about it, but Rutgers has really reminded me why I made the choice that I made.
Chase Linton, very appropriate defensive end, 6'4", 220?
220.
220? What are your lifts? You got a good lift? You got a power clean? You got anything that shows off how strong you are?
None of my lifts are really good, but I'll tell you, 280 for bench, 550 for squat, and 305 for power clean. So far, that was a while ago. I'm gonna have to redo that.
Those are not poor. Those are decent. I know quarterbacks in the SEC can power clean 305, some of them, but the squat and the bench, those are okay. Chase Linton, man, I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out. You have yourself a good start to your season next week.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Interesting there. Lots of things. He said he was kind of lost. He said with the Georgia offer and everybody else, he had to keep the other offers confidential for a while. That was intriguing. I also basically asked him, what Georgia sees in him, 6'4", 220. He also dropped that he'd like to have his decision finalized within a month. So intriguing, a lot of stuff there. And I'm going to just make this right here the last word on Chase Linton. It has nothing to do with how great a player he is. He actually had really decent stats. I believe he had over maybe 11, 12 sacks, maybe 9 sacks a year ago. But this is stuff that we want. We feel we're doing our job telling you about these young men when we do this, and has nothing to do with football. But I asked Chase Linton what he does before games to get ready. Everybody's got these hype songs now. It could be Rod Wave. It could be old school Biggie, Tupac. Could be NBA Youngboy because he doesn't miss. Could be Kendrick Lamar, not like us. I asked Chase Linton this question, and I'll probably share this somewhere on social media soon, but his answer, I couldn't guess it in a million years. You guys couldn't guess it in a million years. His answer was the new edition, I guess, Essentials, Can You Stand the Rain? His mom actually put him on to good music, and I agree with that. Everybody loves a good R&B jam, but kind of like a slow jam or a quiet storm before Chase Linton goes out and hunts quarterbacks. He likes to listen to Can You Stand the Rain? I thought that was interesting. I asked Chase, I was like, can you stand the rain on the football field? And he's like, no. He says he does not like to be wet, and he does not like to be cold on the football field. So perhaps that's indicative, perhaps potentially, if you guys want to read too much into that, about how much of a shelf life he might have with that Rutgers commitment right there. Anyway, I thought that was fantastic stuff there with Chase Linton. Speaking of fantastic, this is kind of a loaded show roster when we can get to the Justus Terry Part 2 segment. If you guys saw last week's show, it was more the immediacy, the news, like why the decommit, how long will he go, which schools are still in it, Kirby Smart soaking in with water guns. I think this piece right here has a lot more depth. It tells you a little bit about Terry's backstory and also why he will play his senior season with a very heavy heart. I think that lets the viewer, lets DawgNation, lets all the college football fans out there understand why he wants to have a little bit of fun with his college football recruitment, taking it out to December. He's called it a marathon. I want to make sure you see Justus Terry Part 2 here on Before the Hedges. Justus, let's have a fun question. I know I used to ask you, Elijah's on the line, you're on the line, it's the same college football team. Who blocks you? But now you got to add Isaiah on that same line. Have you thought about playing with not just Elijah now, but also Isaiah? What would the three of you guys be on the same defensive line?
Man, just unstoppable, unblockable, everything you can imagine, dominant. I don't see no one stopping that lineup, for real. And then plus another dog, Zayden Walker coming from Schley County, he was a dog too. So all us being together on the same line, front line, knowing that we some dogs, the type of dogs we are, I just think we can do a lot of things, a lot of great things, set history, make history.
So my perception from being a guy that's done this a while, it sounds like a very hard thing to say Georgia could ever have a defensive line like the one they had with Trayvon and Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt, Nolan Smith, 2021. But you guys, you throw, like you said, throw Zayden in there as well. You guys could be something like that. Is that a motivator? Is that pretty awesome to think?
Yes, sir.
It's already historical defense, although it's 3 years ago.
Yes, sir. And then it's just crazy to think all those kids, we just named was from Georgia. It's crazy, the bond we have, the culture we have, we all just come around each other and instantly just lock in, okay, this is what got to be done, and let's go get it. And we, chill and talk after. Bet, let's do it. So we just go to work, and then at the cookout, we have fun later. We went to work during the practice and had fun later. That's what it's all about. That's what type of people I want to surround myself around. That's from the same state as me.
Justus, still got that dream about opening your own barbershop? Where does that?
Yes,
is that
sir.
Still something? I know NIL is going to happen for you. Let's not be naive. Is that something that you want to use that as seed money? Like you told me earlier.
Yes, sir, for sure.
You're still going to be cutting hair with teammates now in your own barbershop when you're in college, right?
Yes, sir, for sure.
That's the plan, huh?
Yes, sir. I got to keep that going. That's just something I want to do. I love to do. I love to cut hair. Anytime I'm mad or thinking about anything or just thinking about life. If I cut hair and just listen to music or something, just be zoned out, just giving somebody a crispy haircut. At the end of the cut, they look in the mirror, oh yeah, I like it. Just whole time I'm not even just really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm thinking about something else. While I cut your hair, just in me, I just love doing it for real. It touched me in a different way.
What's a slow week for you cutting hair? How many heads? And then what's a busy week for you cutting hair?
A slow week, I'll say 10 heads a week is a slow week. That's a slow week for me. On a big week, I'll be in practice. So I'll say through the week, we'll say 10, but then come weekend time, I have at least 20 top, just cause one of the other barbers I cut with, he'll be at working. He'll be working somewhere and his clients will come to me and then that's double my clients. So it's yeah, it gets busy a lot.
Does anybody get a free cut, best friend, anything like that?
Yes, sir. Like, sometimes, sometimes a lot of people don't have it, it's just, you have to look out sometimes. And, I'm not scared to look out. There things I want to do. Like, I want to be able to cut hair and make a lot of money off of it to where I can say, okay, this day all free cuts just come in.
Oh, wow.
That's something I just want to do. I want to look out for people that don't have it, They can just get a fresh haircut anytime.
You got a name in mind yet for your shop? You still working on it?
I'm still working on it, just going with the flow. I just have this, picture in my head of, how I want it. But the name is blank right now, but I know it's going to click.
Is that going to be a neon sign with a big pole on it? What's your barbershop going to look like?
I just know it's a big salon, have a chill area in there. Because, a lot of people pull up and they see that, it's a lot of people, so they want to leave and come back or set an appointment. I can just say, you can just drop them off here, drop your little kid off, have the barbershop over here, like a play area somewhere over there, and, the salon in the back, get your nails and toes did, your hair done, have females working in there too. I just want to have a big project, just make something big that I never seen before, all surrounded over cut hair, just surrounded by cut hair.
How many football facilities have a barbershop inside now?
I only seen...
There's one at Bama, right?
I didn't see the one at Bama, but I think it is one at Bama, Auburn, and Georgia for sure. And I know West Virginia had one, but I don't know any other.
Wow. Justus, let's talk about your season, your senior year.
Yes, sir.
It looks like you're in the best shape of your life. It looks like you're probably going to play the best football of your life. What are your thoughts heading into your last ride here at Manchester High School?
My thought really just to have fun with my guys, man. Senior year, we have like the deepest class of seniors come through in a long time. We have like 22 seniors, so I just want to have fun with my guys. They drive me. We've been playing since we're at rec league, and now we still have those same seniors. It's like, man, like for us to still stick together from all the way to rec league until now, it's like we have to go out with a bang. Like, we have no choice. We all have to put our all into 110%. We lost our quarterback, who was a senior, long little number 2. We lost him, man. It was like, now everything for him, everything for Rock. That's just something we go by, E4R. And once we hear that, it's like our mind just clicking to something different, and we know we have to go put in work just for him.
Justus, one thing about recruiting is it makes you a star. It makes you a 5-star. Folks like me want to come down and talk to you. And most would think this is a small town kid with the world in his palm of his hand. But dude, you've went through a lot of hardship, man. Like, I don't know if any high school football player should lose not one but 2 teammates.
Yes, sir.
Like, how does that affect you? Does it make it hard to enjoy all these things, or does it just put it into perspective about how blessed you really are?
I just put it into perspective. It's like, I just see everything's on God's timing, I believe in God, so I feel like everything happened for a reason. I feel like, with the loss of number 2, it made the team stronger in a certain way, mentally. Like, everyone wasn't mentally strong. With that happening now, everyone have to be mentally strong. Like, if you're not doing it for everything for Rock, then I don't see no point in being in this locker room, because if it's not for him, then I don't know your reason, man.
Justus, what type of player are we going to see this fall out of you? You feel faster? You feel stronger?
Yes, sir.
You feel like you're like a wise samurai out there or something
yes, sir.
like that?
I feel like the game moves more slower now. Like, now that I've dove, like I took a big step deeper into the game, just locking in into watching schemes and, what side the running back on, calling the strong side, shifting before the play. I might be a defensive end, they run a certain play away from me. I might switch it to a 3-tech or nose tackle, just to go make this play just because I know it, know what they're running. It's like the game is just slowed down now, and I'm way faster, way stronger, so it's like, everything come easy. I'm just looking forward to having fun, having fun with my guys. Everything slowed down. I feel like we just go with it, be dominant.
Any visits planned? You got any visits you're going to make? You have some officials left on the table to a lot of schools. Are you going to take them? Are you going to got anything planned yet?
No, sir, I haven't really talked about it yet. You know, I just really been focused on the season this year and just, you know, just want the team to come together and just focus on this one main goal, and that's going to the championship and winning it this time. You know, just focusing on that goal right now, and then we handle that, everything is going to be everything.
I feel like a young person like yourself has to get a lot of education about NIL.
Yes, sir.
Where does NIL fit in the puzzle for you? I know you're going to get it from any school you want. It's just modern day college football. How big of a factor will that be for you?
I would say it's not too much of a factor because, like, before this, you know, a lot of players had to pick based on, you know, where the heart at. So it's like, you know, money wasn't always wasn't a thing in college. So it's like, what about those players that couldn't get money from doing this and they had to pick, like, where they want to go grind for 4 years and make it to the league, then get paid. So I just took all the money out of it, and it was like, and like, where would I want to go? Like, if I wasn't offered no money to come here, like, where would I want to be at? I want to be where my feet at, and so that's why I'm just taking it slow, letting God operate, and, you know, just follow the footsteps.
There you have it, Justus Terry. Again, want to thank Cody Chaffins, our ace producer. DawgNation host, co-host now of DawgNation on the beat on Monday nights, with Mike Griffith. That's a good tag team right there. That was a good segment. Appreciate the chance to talk to Justus and really to hear his story. It was very touching to hear that his thoughts about his fallen teammate. That makes the second one that the Manchester High football community has lost since they played, since the end of December, middle of December, right before they played for the state championship last December, last season. And folks, that's just way too much sorrow, way too much grief for one group of young men, their school, their community to have to endure right there. So very tough to hear that, especially when I think most might think that Justus has everything in the world going right for him. And, you know, there's a lot of hardship that goes behind all that 5-star status and everything else. So Justus Terry Part 2, hope you guys enjoyed both pieces. We'll have them eventually up on the DawgNation YouTube page in separate pieces as well right there. Speaking of a giant update, speaking of something giant, folks, I want to take you to this. Very rarely do I walk up on a football field now and get one of those kind of Dick Enberg, oh my goodness, or oh my moments. But this was one for me. I'm going to take you back to last Friday. I was at the Douglas County scrimmage with Lithia Springs High School, and I got a chance to see class of 27. That means 3 more years of high school football. That means a high school 10th grader, Joshua Sam-Epelle. And this is one of those things where I can give you a lot of words. I can give you a lot of flowers. I want you to see this young man right here. We've got some video here of Joshua Sam-Epelle. Now, he is 6'8"3/4. That's what he was measured at Georgia. He's 6'9" in cleats. He's 330 pounds. He's a 10th grader. Still not a starter for one of the better teams in the state of Georgia right now. Douglas County's got a lot of really talented veterans, juniors on their offensive line that started last year. But Joshua Sam-Epelle, he has an offer already from Georgia. He got that over the summer when he had a great camp. He balled out, got pulled to the side for the private workout with all the major targets. And this guy's got a lot of game already. He's an immediate guy that I thought I had to write about because of the visual. You see there he's wearing Georgia gloves. Here's some of the clips right here. And again, he doesn't really know what he's doing yet. Pass pro is pretty easy because he told me, you know, once he gets low and he gets in his set, he says it's locks on the defender. You see there, Douglas County thinks that they can already do a lot with him. You see him pulling a little bit. You saw him try to work to the second level. Just need to see him make sure he blocks somebody every play and maybe finish some more of those blocks and just kind of pancake guys. But again, this is a high school sophomore, 6'8" plus, almost 6'9". His teammates actually call him 6'9", even though he wears the number 51. It gets confusing while you watch him in the game because you hear coaches and teammates say, good job, 6'9", or get your pad level a little bit lower, 6'9", or finish him maul him next time, 6'9", when the guy's wearing number 51, but that's because he's 6 feet 9 inches. That's what everybody calls him right there. Again, Georgia is in his top 2 along with Tennessee. He says Georgia will be a major factor through the balance of his recruitment. But, we like to try to give you a visuals, kind of that sense of what's going on. And right now, Douglas has a lot of players. They have like 3 or 4, 5 future SEC starters on their squad. A couple of likely 5-stars on their 2026 class as well. But look at that man right there, Joshua Sam-Epelle out of Douglas County. He's going to have to work his way into the starting lineup. But, folks, the staff and the guys there on that team tell me that once he figures it out, once he gets a little bit stronger, he's going to be, and quote, an unstoppable force in Georgia high school football. That was an amazing chance to see that, guys. I mean, heck, been doing this a while. Very rarely, I'm going to put this, the only person that I think of when I see that video and when I saw Joshua Sam-Epelle was when I go back to Marius Mims at Bleckley County. If you saw some of those pictures there, it's like you see him in the huddle, you see him around his teammates. And, folks, those guys are like 6'3", 6'4". They're very tall players in their own right, but then they're not 6'9" and growing like Joshua Sam-Epelle is right there. Certainly a name to know, certainly a name we'll be writing about. We already wrote about him already this week on DawgNation.com. If you missed it, I encourage you to go check it out. Also, I can kind of hear it coming down the tracks. It's question of the week time, but before we get into that one, and it is a loaded one, I want to take you to this. Here's a message from one of our great DawgNation partners. This is Jeff Sentell, and you're watching Before the Hedges.
Here at DawgNation, we know there is nothing better than Georgia's first game, especially when it's an opponent like Clemson. But as someone who's lived in Atlanta for the last 6 years, I know that getting to Atlanta could be a hassle. Whether it's hotel, parking, or traffic, it's a pain, and that's the last thing we want you to worry about for the opener. So DawgNation is here to help, along with our partners at Discover Dunwoody. If you've got tickets to the game, Discover Dunwoody will take care of everything else. Their VIP package includes 1 night at the Hyatt Place Perimeter, luxury round-trip transportation to the DawgNation tailgate, and a one-of-a-kind swag bag that includes an exclusive DawgNation Invasion t-shirt. So let Discover Dunwoody get you to the big game and back in style. For a stress-free weekend, you can register at atlsportstrips.com. Again, that's atlsportstrips.com.
Thanks, Kaylee. I think the key words there were stress-free weekend and VIP experience. Come hang with us at DawgNation for I think we're calling it the Breakfast of Champions. I believe there'll be breakfast burrito. There's got to be some bacon there probably, some eggs. There'll be some mimosas. There'll be some Bloody Marys as well, I'm told. If that is your thing on a game day morning, we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you guys join DawgNation before the Benz as a season opener as Georgia takes on Clemson. Maybe a stress-free weekend for the folks that are going to be wearing the purple and orange. Question of the week, you guys heard me tee it up. This, I think, might be a difficult one, especially because we're getting a little clever with this week's question of the week. I want to know what you guys think, especially considering the re-ranking from Isaiah Gibson this week. Who do you think will be the highest-rated commitment in Georgia's 2025 class? We got some options. I think Isaiah Gibson comes to mind, currently Gibson, and then it would be, does Georgia win the recruitment for Elijah Griffin, the number 4 player in the country right now? Elias Williams, a guy that for the longest time was the highest-rated commitment in Georgia's class. Will he play outstanding his senior season at Camden County and get a bump, or will it be Justus Terry? Like, for me, can't wait to see your answers. This is kind of the fun part of Before the Hedges each and every week, but for me, I don't know if the way things are trending, I don't know if I really have a good pick here yet between Justus Terry and Elijah Griffin. Of course, I'm talking about 2 undecided guys, but you see Terry, we've gotten to know Terry, seen a lot of Terry recently. He's down to 260. I think he'll play even better. I think he'll play the best football of his career, his high school career at least, this fall at Manchester. And then there's the always very impressive Elijah Griffin. Elijah got his offer from Georgia when he was still in the 8th grade, not quite in high school yet. So lots of good questions, lots of good takes there. If you guys want to say Gibson, Gibson could probably, he's kind of set his goals on maybe 20 sacks this year, 50 quarterback hurries, I believe, are the figures he told me. So if he does stuff like that, maybe he ends up being the highest rated dog in this class. But fun to think about. That is an intriguing question of the week for this week, heading into to not quite 3 weeks, a little less than 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks-ish before the Clemson game right there. Speaking of commitments, thinking about highest rated, let's take a look right now. Let's go to our 2025 class breakdown, and there have been some updates to this one right now. Not just the Jontae Gilbert commitment, not just the Christian Garrett decommitment, but you see Georgia's class. You see the offensive side of the ball. We mentioned Ryan Montgomery got a rankings bump. Bo Walker, a very curious case right there about where he will play his senior season of high school football. I know I'm watching that. There have been a couple of schools mentioned there with Bo Walker. Of course, he finished his junior year as a state champion there at Cedar Grove. Talon Taylor, Talon is in Talented. I hope you guys got to see our DawgNation really deep dive into Talon Taylor and his story with his mother Venus, and her coaching and softball playing background and how that shaped Talon Taylor. We also had a couple of good scouting reports from a couple of Georgia commitments on this board about what Talon Taylor can do. That's your offensive side. Let's take a look at the defensive side right now. You'll see now just down to 2 defensive linemen. Certainly there's room for a Justus Terry. Certainly there's room for an Elijah Griffin. Who's going to be the other linebacker in that class? Will Georgia go take another linebacker in this class? You see now 5 stars next to Isaiah Gibson's name. He gets the well-deserved bump there from all the composite and all the ranking services there. And you see Jontae Gilbert as well. You look on that list, you see a Shamari Earls and Darren and Kennebon. Those guys are also top 100 prospects committed to Georgia right now in this class. That's your class breakdown. Let's take a look at that lovely state map we see each and every week. 22 commitments. Now, Georgia has had some ebb and flow with the addition of Gilbert and then the loss of Garrett. At one point, they had jumped LSU to the number 3 class. Now they fall back to the number 4 class. 12 offensive commitments, 10 on defense, 9 out of state, 13 homegrown dogs. They've got an even split there among the 10 highest rated commitments in terms of 5 on offense, 5 on defense. But now Georgia actually has more guys among those top-rated commitments right there. You see the 3 5-stars there. You see the number grows there. Georgia now has 7 top 100 commits. Ryan Montgomery made that number 7, 8 top 150, and 13 top 200s. Those are all very fine and upstanding numbers for DawgNation to have one of those Bulldog points of pride right there when you see how the class is coming together. Potentially could have 5 5-stars in the class, maybe 6. Of course, that leads us to our top targets each and every week. When we've lost a top target or 2, we've added more to just off the list. And I think the first thing you guys are going to say when you see this is like, who is the punching bag for Kirby Smart this week? It used to be Florida. It usually is Florida. Then it was USC. But now, what in the world did poor Rutgers do to tick off Kirby Smart in Georgia? Of course, that's not the only in-state Rutgers commitment right there. We showed you a good package there with Chase Linton. There's also Braxton Kyle out of North Gwinnett. He is a 3-star D lineman committed to North Gwinnett, committed to Rutgers out of North Gwinnett at this time. I think things are starting to sizzle a little bit more with Jerome Miles, the 4-star wide receiver. He's actually, according to some services, rated even higher than Talon Taylor. And, of course, the big 2, we'll be talking about those guys forever and ever and ever. Justus Terry, Elijah Griffin. Actually, we've got a pretty cool piece coming on next week's Before the Hedges with Elijah Griffin. Can't wait to show you guys that. Those are your top targets. Let's take a look now to just off the list. And you got a bunch of names here. Let's point out Anthony Rogers kind of dips off the top targets and comes back to just off the list. You'll see the deletion there of C.J. Wiley off just off the list. I just don't feel that there's really a kindling of interest right there with C.J. coming at this time with Georgia. New name here is unranked defensive tackle Kelton McKell. He actually went to pretty good program there in Mississippi. Petal High School in Mississippi. He's now at a junior college in Mississippi. That's a name that I guess Georgia has offered. We'll monitor that one as well. Shane Marshall doesn't even have an offer from Georgia, but he's down in Irwin County in Acilla, currently committed to Minnesota. Ty Jackson, I came pretty close to just moving Ty Jackson off this list as well, linebacker out of Florida. He's a guy that I don't even know if he's the next most likely linebacker in the class now outside of Zayden Walker. There's a couple of names now that also kick to mind right there. Nick Brooks, I think he's supposed to make his decision next week out of now at Grayson High School. Was in Iowa, moved to Georgia, moved back to Iowa. Now he's back in Georgia. Texas and USC look like the strongest shots there. And, hey, there's another Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket currently committed to Georgia Tech. He's out of Duluth High School. But when you see that number that Georgia Tech found for Josh Petty, I'm sure that it's indicative of maybe the incentives that Georgia Tech has made for Damola Ajanahan as well there as well. There's your just off the list right there for the 2024 class. Guys, before we get out of here, and I know people are probably watching football games. I've got to get to a football games tonight as well, but I want to take you back to a piece we wrote on DawgNation.com this week. And that was where, a lot of times we try to write daily stories. We try to pepper you with information, but I tried to put together, in my mind's eye, one of my summer projects for me was to write something, I think the term in this business is called enterprise, where you really take you kind of dig in the box and you take a deep swing for the fences. But what we tried to do there is I wanted to know how Georgia still stacks up players, how they still recruit. How does Kirby Smart still recruit in this day and age of NIL? Is it, how do the Dogs do it? Do they lean on their past success? Do they lean on their trophy case? I went to their parents, and I pulled out I talked to basically every parent that the Bulldogs, when every commitment comes along, because I try to tell their whole story, not just their recruiting story. But I spoke to 3 parents, and I want to pull out a couple quotes. If you haven't seen this story, this is what I tried to do when we really try to report and give you guys information behind the curtain. This was the father of quarterback commitment, Ryan Montgomery. The word I keep coming back to is elite. It is an elite program for a reason, right? You get to come in on an official visit and have all those touch points. It is easy to see why that's the case. From Coach Smart down, everybody that we come across was an elite person. They are elite at their job. They are elite at recruiting, and they are elite at just being a person, easy to talk to. So when you see that, and you see that passion, when they talk about the passion that they have behind the institution and their job specifically, whatever that may be, it starts to make sense, right? How do you become the program in the country, which in our eyes, that's what Georgia is given the last 5 years or so, and it's neat to see that. That's what I keep coming back to, elite people across the board. The other really insightful comment I got was from the mother of Georgia 5-star edge. Now he's a 5-star, Isaiah Gibson. And there was the USC thing, and Candace Gibson, his mother, I thought it was very insightful. She was once a teacher, but she's been a captain in the U.S. Army for the last 9 years. And she was also a great college basketball player at East Tennessee State. And all that background helps when you see what she's saying, right? She told DawgNation. She talked to me about it, and she said she watches how they practice. Like, do they come at you like a beast? Do they come at you like a dog? Because that's the way I'm coming at it. And she watched how teams practice. And this is what she said about Georgia specifically. She had a lot of fantastic quotes, but this one really stuck out. She said, Georgia made all of that really easy. It really wasn't even a comparison. If Georgia was at a 10, the next school was probably at like a 7. And the reason why is the head coach doesn't coach every position. But the head coach has to be the type of person that is able to lead properly. And Kirby Smart is that guy. If you see him coach like at practice, he gets after it. There is nobody else I want my son to play for. So if you guys haven't seen that piece, there's a lot more stuff in there about it as well. But Isaiah Gibson, the number 1 highest rated commitment in the class right now, and also the father of the Georgia quarterback commitment, Mike Montgomery, because the Montgomery family's seen a lot of big boy recruiting Their older son, Luke, was a 2023 All-American offensive lineman who is now at Ohio State. So the Montgomerys, they know what big boy recruiting looks like. Guys, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. We try to give you guys a lot of information. Very rare do we get the chance to show you 6'9" sophomore offensive tackles, but that's the type of stuff that we want Before the Hedges to be about each and every week. And folks, we've tried to do so. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. That has been all your intel. I am Jeff Sentell, and we'll see you guys again on the pages of DawgNation.com.
I'm a bulldog, so Georgia who I'm picking. I love the family atmosphere and the way they handle business. Education is important, trying to reach the next level. I want the best in life, I never settle.